Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. Today I'm going to be running the Gone Berserk L4 mission in a Barghest. So this is a very good mission to demonstrate how good the Barghest is in terms of its speed and how it's really easy to avoid DPS with it. So basically what this mission involves is just you go to this location and then you just shoot a bunch of these EOM ships until you've killed all of them and then you finish the mission. So there's quite a lot of things to kill. That's why this mission is going to take quite a bit of time compared to your average mission. But it's not very straightforward, very easy, not at all complicated at all. And you will actually notice that in this mission, then the enemy ships, they'll spawn at a very different locations. There'll be quite a bit of distance between them, and that's why I think the Barghest is pretty good for this, because it's got really good range with its cruise missiles. So you'll just be able to hit anything, anytime, whenever you want it. It'll be very simple. Okay, let's go to Tvink right here. Tvink is a system which I think has got quite an interesting name. I almost think of Twinkie. You know, that kind of cake thing, but it's got a V instead. Alright, let's go to here. EOM ships that we're going to kill now, for a little lore for you guys, they're basically like an Amar kind of cult. So they're an Amar terrorist organization, and I don't know exactly what their philosophy is, but it has something to do that their cult idea revolves a lot around death, so they like death a lot. So that's why I think they're referred to as a terrorist organization that likes to just kill stuff. Because you'll notice here, when we go here, that there'll be a lot of ships actually that will be called, for example, Death Side, or something like Death Knight, or something like that. And that's really highlights why they are called this. Okay, so I think the EOM's most resistant is kinetic. Yes, kinetic. Yes, kinetic. Okay, so we see here, I just warp in straight away, right? And I'm just instantly starting to do damage. This EOM Hydra, you can do nothing against me. Very easy, very simple. I could actually, I don't have a mobile depot with me right now. Otherwise, I could have put one of those in just to get a bit of extra stuff, but I can't be bothered to grab the loot. Just extra time, and I think sometimes it can be good, because the thing is, I've noticed that, especially with the Paladin, when I was scooping loot all the time with those tractor beams, then it was actually quite nice to have the loot, because you could sometimes get these meta modules, they're just standard modules, not Tech 1 stuff, and it was actually worth quite a bit. You could get, for example, an MWD worth 1 mil or something like that. It was a pretty nice little bonus thing on top of the bounties and the LP and the mission rewards. But I think it's just going to take a bit of extra time. To be honest, it would have not taken much extra time just to slap down a mobile depot, and then when I'm just on the way out, I just scoop the stuff. But I don't have one with me. I'll probably do it next time. Thing is, I was actually noticing that, because it's been quite a while since I've been doing L4 missions in Langisi. I've been doing it in Apanake. And in Apanake, there's actually Apanake is like another Sisters of Eve mission hub it's quite far away, but I'm doing it in Langisi here. This is actually a lot less populated in Langisi, so it's not as popular in terms of gankers. That's why I was doing it here. And in Apanake, there's a lot more of these people who just sell stuff, sell general stuff. So if you go into the mission hub, you'll often notice that there's a lot of common missioning items that are for sale. For example, a mobile depot, spare drones, all this stuff the missioners use. You'll notice that these are very commonly there. And it's something that I actually noticed in Langisi, there's not at all much, or it could just be that someone just recently has bought a lot of the items. So these guys are actually too far away from my targeting range. So you know what I'm going to do? Actually, I'm going to split my missiles. I'm going to shoot one of them, because I'm killing these guys very quickly. So that's why I think it'll actually be better to just go and split them a bit, because this is why I didn't explain this before, but the reason I have these split up into two groups, you can do this actually by going in the fitting tab, the shift click one of these, and then drag it onto this like this. Then you will actually create a new group. You can have two groups like this. And the reason is because if you have two groups like this, say you're ships that die pretty easily, then you won't have to wait until the reload time, because they've got quite long cycles, I've noticed, on these cruise missiles. So if you don't have to think about the cycles when you split them up, then it will be pretty good. Usually you wouldn't want to split your groups so much, because each ship has some kind of remote repair or some kind of armor repairing or shield boosting. So that is obviously going to be a lot more effective if you're doing less damage to it, because you're splitting up your weapons. So usually it won't be more effective. But if something dies pretty quickly, then sometimes that time it takes for the cycle to complete can actually be more negating that cycle time compared to the repairing of the enemy ship. the cycle time can sometimes be worse for your time than the repairing, if that makes any sense. So for example, with the battleships that I know that have quite a bit of remote repairing, and also they don't die so quickly, I'll just do them all together on the same target. While, for example, those cruisers that die pretty quickly, I'll then just split them up. These Hydras dying pretty quickly. There's also some frigates over here, and I can actually just set my drones loose on them, because it should be pretty easy to kill them. Let's just see how much I want. I'm just curious. How good do I apply to these frigates? Because I think I should apply pretty good to these frigates. Not 100% sure. So this is a perfect example of how you fly the Barghest, a mission this utilizing the Barghest kiting capabilities. You can see here that we're just kiting around, going around, hold down Q. I keep getting asked, how do I do this? You just hold down Q and double click like this, and then you can just go like this, travel like this, and you can just be here. We're just cruising around, not caring at all about these guys. We're not even using our booster. We're just relying on our passive recharge. Even it's just very simple. Very simple. I really like it. So one of these guys. Okay, this guy is very slow. This guy is traveling, so that's why he's taking a little bit less damage. So I'm actually going to focus all the damage on one of them, because it seems like they're taking quite a bit of time to die. So we'll focus them on one. That's what I mean. You see how one of them was repairing? That repairing is obviously going to be more effective if you're doing less damage to them by splitting up your guns. It's just that if it was something that died very quickly, like those cruisers, then I would be obviously splitting, because I think it would be slightly faster, or at least it feels slightly faster. I've not done the math on that, so don't go crazy on me if you've done the math and you find otherwise. I'm just a lot of this stuff I do is just based off my experience and gut feeling from doing these missions, because that's a lot. I like to do a lot of my testing in Eve just by trial and error, just seeing how stuff works, because also something I noticed that, like, in general, in a lot of like experimentation and like testing stuff in games, all games or just in general, it's a lot different from doing like theoretical, like calculating theoretically how stuff is, and then actually testing it in games. That's why I like to actually test stuff like hands-on first and see how it is, rather than just doing all these calculations in Pith, all that kind of stuff. Like, obviously I use Pith a lot to calculate stuff, but I'd much prefer just doing it actually hands-on experience, because there's a lot of more variables that maybe you won't be able to take into consideration when going into these fitting simulators, etc. Like, for example, it's hard to calculate the travel time of all the individual missions in the fitting simulator, for example. So it's maybe you could maybe do more DPS, but maybe underestimate how good the mobility is. The mobility maybe will actually help you do the missions faster, even though you are doing a little bit less DPS, but you're moving a lot faster. And that could maybe help a lot, and that seems to definitely be the case when it comes to these L4 missions. Just having good mobility really helps you just killing all the missions. Oh, look, all these wrecks right here. Probably would have actually been pretty good to have a mobile depot, because we could probably get a lot of these meta modules that are worth quite a bit. Oh, we got a little bit of a bounty prize right there. Really crap, actually. I thought it would be a lot better than that. I think that bounty prize is from the last mission I did, because I just finished a mission before this, so I think it was because of that. There's a Leshak here. Leshak's doing missions. Leshaks, apparently, I've heard that they're quite good for doing missions. Like, I've heard people saying that they've got quite a lot of DPS, but I feel like it's pretty good to have something that does constant DPS, because usually in missions you've got multiple individual targets. Usually you won't have enough time to spool up, but I think that at least in certain missions it is pretty good, and just in general the Leshak has a pretty good base DPS, so I think it definitely can be a viable one. But I feel like I prefer to have these the standard ships that just do constant DPS. I've been trying the Ikitursa a bit in the Abyss on the test server, and I was not so impressed by it. Well, it was nice, but it's annoying to have to wait for that spool up time. Then the Nurgle, on the other hand, I feel like that is feels almost like it's in a game of its own. Like, the base DPS of it is like above average for most frigates, and then when it spools up to high DPS, Nurgle, for you guys who don't know, is this Triglavian assault frigate. So it's made by the same like corporation or people as the Leshak. It's a frigate. It's base DPS without any spool up, because it takes a bit of time for the damage to ramp up. When it keeps shooting, it gets more damage over time. it has pretty above average DPS, like 200 something, and I would say that's pretty good for a frigate. And then you go and if you wait like maybe a minute or something just by shooting one battleship, then you can go up to like cruiser level DPS, like 500 DPS or something like that, and that's absolutely crazy for a frigate. Like, it's really hard to get that much DPS in a frigate. Only certain specialized frigates are able to get that much DPS. I think a Daredevil, which is this Serpentis frigate, that can get pretty high DPS with those neutron blasters. So that is one of the other really high DPS ships, but otherwise it's very uncommon to see those DPS numbers on frigates. This EOM Deathlord, this is what I was talking about. You can see here death. They're all like death. These guys actually, they're like apocalypses, you can see here, and I think they actually have quite long range, because I noticed that I was taking damage from quite long range from these guys. I think that's something that is commonly seen in these EOM Deathlords. So it's just so simple. This is what I love about the Barghest. You're just always doing damage. It's not like the Rattlesnake where I'll probably have to, like, move a bit to get my drones always in position, always in position. Obviously, if I'm using a cruise missile launcher, Rattlesnake, then I'll be able to do damage all the time with those cruise missiles, but the cruise missiles are not the majority of the DPS. The majority of the DPS, or at least a massive portion of the DPS, is from drones. And drones, it's not always the easiest to get them to apply. Like, they can apply, you can really, it just is, it feels it's a lot harder than just simply locking up stuff, shooting with your cruise missiles. You like, if you are smart with sentry drones, then you can use like a micro jump drive to reposition yourself, but that takes a bit of time to jump and all that kind of stuff. So I just like how the simplicity of just using cruise missiles and just going and killing everything like this. Very simple. I think this is the last guy actually, so we'll align to Langisi. The Langisi is where the mission hub is. We'll go there, and then we'll instantly warp off. So I'm not using my drones because they take a long time to move around. Okay, is that there? Or is, oh, okay, there's one EOM Deathlord. Okay, there's one more Deathlord. I think this is the final guy, because I've done this mission quite a few times before, and I do remember something that like a single battleship is the last wave. And I find it a bit strange because we faced a lot of Deathlords before, so if this is indeed the final wave, then I think it's a bit strange how like it seems like they're trying to make this seem like it's the boss by one final ship, but it's not. Like, we've faced 3 of these guys before, so how is it the boss if we're just facing one of them when we faced 3 of them before? Oh wait, whatever, he's dead now. There we go, mission complete. Go and jump back to Langisi with our super speed velocity optimized warp drive that goes really fast. Let's go, Barghest. The Barghest, in terms of the appearance, okay, I talk about this a lot. I love appearance of ships. Skins and appearances are very important for me. As someone actually commented, and I appreciate you guys saying that, I am a man of culture. when it comes to the skins, I think skins are like, for me, it's a big deal. I like having ships that look good. I like flying with the good settings, high settings, and having ships that look good. I know many of you guys really don't give a crap about appearances. In fact, probably go with the lowest settings just so you can get as much performance as possible. Me personally, I have pretty good computers, so it doesn't really matter. I have basically as good performance as ever with high settings. I'm not in these massive fleet fights, but I think many people I see here say the Barghest looks quite bad, or not bad, but it looks like a frying pan. It does indeed. It looks a bit like a frying pan or like a pancake. But I also think it's just, I like the style of it because it feels a lot like kind of like an aircraft carrier or something like that. And I just think it looks cool in that way. It looks almost like ships can dock on top of it, like small fighters or something like that. And I just think it looks cool like that. And then also how these things on the sides, this is where the cruise launch, these small dots here, those are the cruise launchers, I think. So they just fly up, and I think that just looks really cool. A skin I will maybe buy, I'm not 100% sure if I will, but a skin I maybe will get is this Convergence Nova skin. This, I really like this. I think this looks pretty cool, actually. When it makes everything black and then you got this like highlighted orange stuff, I think that looks good. Let's hand in this Gone Berserk mission, 5,000 LP, so maybe like 6-7 million ISK right there. Done. Alright, that's me doing another mission in the Barghest. See, it was pretty simple. Just flew around, spammed my cruise missiles, and mission complete. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.